Okay, well, welcome to Focus Communication webinars, our first Focus feature webinar. And what I want to do is show some tips and tricks as well as make sure everyone feels comfortable using the communication module and everything that it has to offer. So my name is Anna Berry and I'm a part of the student data team, and we're going to take you through it. So if you are on your homepage, you can start by clicking that sidebar menu and going to communication. That's the way most people are going to go. But before we even get too far into it, I want to show you a cool thing about Focus. Focus is very good at multitasking and giving you lots of options about where you go. So if you're on a screen and you see this button anywhere on the screen, what that button is going to do is populate those individuals straight into your communication module. So it's kind of a neat trick that it kind of gets a little bit lost in the shuffle sometimes, but if you're trying to save a little bit of time, if you are on a screen and you do want to send something to a particular group and you see this button, when you click on it, you're going to see it automatically populate into that compose portion of that communication module. And you'll see those two students in that student group feature that I had. They're populated here. Now, student groups is a webinar unto itself. These more search options are a webinar unto themselves. And so I'm not going to get into all of those features. I'm just going to specifically talk about communication. So usually if you go to this communication module and you click on it, you're going to start from your inbox. And when you're in here, you choose one of these individuals that you've had a conversation with. You're going to see that it's a threaded response. And there, a couple of tips and tricks would be that if you're looking at it, it's going to show you the type of communication that you have here. Now, this is a particular student, so it does have the option for flagged messages, and I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But as you're scrolling through, you can see those threads. You can also see right here, these are positive behaviors. And again, I'm going to touch on those only from the communication perspective very briefly at the end. So we'll talk about that. As far as these flagged messages are concerned, if the system decides to flag some content, you as the teacher have the ability in Focus to go ahead and either add a referral, view that flagged content message if you haven't already seen it to verify that it should be flagged, or if you have done that, you can remove a flag. So for example, in this particular one, it flagged the word Nazi. And so therefore it came across as a flagged message to the teacher. If this were something inappropriate, the teacher could go ahead and write that referral right from the screen. So again, it's trying to save you time. If you feel that this message is fine, you can remove that flag, or you could go ahead and rehide the message if it were offensive to you as well. And speaking of hiding things, a new feature that is available in the Focus Communication module this year is the ability to archive messages. And this is something that our end users have talked about. It's been talked about at Focus conferences. So cleaning up that inbox. So if you come over here, if you're in your inbox or if you're in a message and you see this gives you that ability to go ahead and archive messages that are no longer needed from years past. So if you were to archive it, it's actually going to end up over here in your archive box. It doesn't go away. It doesn't mean that it's deleted. It just means it's not sitting in your inbox anymore. So if we were to come here and it loads, you're going to see messages that I've archived from the past. Now, if I click on this message and I decide, oh, actually, I made a mistake. I was cleaning up my inbox. I don't want this message to be archived. You can come back over here, unarchive this message, and it's going to go back to your inbox. So anytime you want to clean that inbox up, if you see that little icon up at the top, it's going to allow you to do that. So now that we've talked a little bit about your inbox, I want to go back to this. You're going to see here at the bottom, this is a rich text editor, and what it allows you to do is quickly respond just to Luna. So this isn't going to go to anybody else. You do have the same options that you're going to see in that compose feature. One thing down here, if you see this icon, it allows you to compose, so you have more options than just in your threaded conversation with Luna. So You have abilities to make it secure. You could do some other things here that we're going to talk about in the compose. But if you see that little feature, it's going to bring you to this message screen to give you more options than what you have in that simple editor down here. And if you begin to type, you're going to see that you can schedule send it or go ahead and send it as well. So what I want to do now is move on to the compose feature. So if we are here and we're composing a message, you're going to see two tabs at the top. Now this is your message tab and this is your template tab. Template does look different, and I'm going to talk specifically about templates and show you some tricks on using a template. But right now I want to stay on this message tab. The first thing is very important to know, who are you sending your messages to? And this drop down gives you some options. We have students, and these are going to be students that you have access to. And you're going to hear our team say that a lot. Profile permissions. And those profiles determine what permissions you have. And that means what you can or can't do within Focus. So we also have primary contacts. And I want to make sure that it's clear that primary contacts means custodial contacts. These are the ones with the pink gavels, with that the verification forms that are sent. These are the pink gavels, the custody forms. So primary contacts in other areas of Focus, you might see a primary, a secondary, a third, or a fourth. But when we're talking about it from this communication module, primary contacts are all of the custodial contacts. Once per family would be once per family for the student or students that you choose. The teachers of, you may need to send something to the other teachers of a particular student or students. And then you also have where you can send to students as well as their primary contacts. Now, you may or may not see a student group feature here. If you have not created a student group before, or you do not have access because of your profile permissions to student groups, you're not going to see this icon. So I don't want you to be confused by that. But clicking on it gives you different options in your dropdown. And so that's where I was talking earlier about the more search options and how you can create that. And again, that's a full webinar unto itself. But depending on what you choose, you're going to see different things in your dropdown. So these are all of the students that my test teacher has in this particular civics course. We can switch, we can add. So wherever we have the ability to see students, that's what's going to be here in this dropdown. Again, permissions to what letterhead you might want to use. Same thing with staff at your particular school. If there's something that you're able to send or want to send or have authorization from your AP or principal to send. Now, sending options, these are really important. This secure email, clicking this means that the recipient has to log into Focus to view this message. And this is something that we've talked about quite a bit, with making sure that we're keeping students' personally identifiable information private. So if you are sending anything like that about a student, you should click secure email. And this is all working together to get parents, their parent portals, to make sure that the emails are correct and linked correctly in Focus. But if you're sending information about a student that includes grades or discipline, any PII, we encourage secure email. Push notification is really nice right now, because what that allows an end user to receive is notifications if they have that mobile app. So if you click this, it's going to tell them, hey, you have a message. This log record is also automatically turned on. And what that's going to do is create a letter log for that particular student. So if I were to choose a student here, I would be able to filter. And then I'm able to see as her teacher what kind of letter logs have been sent for this particular student. So it's also going to automatically log it, not only in the communication module, but it's going to log it here as well. So let me just go ahead. Oh, and one more thing that I did want to talk about, which is new and really neat for users. Now there's also this communication tab. So you can quickly pull a report on the communication for that This is only for Katie Bell, but it gives you a snapshot of the information in the communication that Katie has received through Focus. So that tab is available for all users as well. So it's another little shortcut for seeing things. And we are going to talk about that communication report later on in the webinar. So you can send a copy to yourself as well. And you can attach certain files if you want to do that. Now, one thing with this secure email, when that's checked, you're going to see that this area is grayed out. So you're not able to add anyone else. It's really going to lock that down and keep it secure. So you have your subject line here. You have the ability to either save this draft if you want to come back to it. And if you do save it, it's going to end up here in this little box, just like it does in email. You could discard it if you don't like it. You could end up printing it. And again, with Focus, sometimes it gives you multiple ways to do the same thing. So you may see me do something. That doesn't mean it's the only way that you can access. So you can use a template from here. You can use a template from here. You have the ability for templates. They're going to reside here, and you can create a template as well. This schedule send feature is a great feature for planning ahead. It works just like it does in email. So if you were to decide that you want to schedule something, it gives you the option to choose when and what time. If it's something that you want to have happen more than once, it gives you some reoccurring options that are here. So you can go ahead and schedule, and it's going to live right over here once you schedule something. So if I am here and I decide that I'm going to compose myself a message. So let's say that I want to send out information to families and students, reminding them about a field trip that we're having. If I decide to go ahead and do this, and as I'm working through this and I, decide what I want and what settings I like, if I decide I want to use this more than once and I'm still in this message feature, if I come up here to my template, it's going to automatically populate that into my template. So if I'm working in my message and I decide, actually, this is a great document, I want to use it over and over again in the future, if I just click to my template tab, it's going to automatically populate that there for me here. And then I can give it a title so that I can come back to it later if I want to. I can decide what sort of settings do I want it to be. And then when I save it, it's going to directly take it straight to this template box here. So any template that I've created is going to live here. So if I'm back on my compose screen, so again, if I decide I want to use a template, I can click here, I can click here. When I do that, it's going to bring up this screen. And so as a reminder, based on profiles, these are templates that I've created. You may have templates that others have shared with you or that you have the permission to use, but this particular test teacher, it's only here. So I can choose it, what I want. It's going to populate it in. You're going to see that those settings I chose automatically populate into my message here. And then all I have to do is choose students that I want it to go to, or their primary contacts, or students and primary contacts, and it's going to go straight there for them. Now, one thing that's really neat that I want to show you in templates as well, so I'm just going to go ahead and discard this message really quick. I'm going to go back to my templates. I'm going to take a look at this makeup work, and I'm going to make an addition here. So as I'm working through, I talked about this being a rich text editor. And one area that I want to focus on this rich text editor is this one right here, and it's called inserting a field. Now, when I click that, it's going to take it just a little bit of time to open. And what this is going to do is personalize my template a little bit. So I do have some options here. And let's say I want to insert the student's first name. So in my template, I'm adding that student field. So when I send it to several students, it's going to populate each student's first name here in this. So I'm going to go ahead and save it. And then I might want to use that now. And if I were to do that, I would choose which student I want. And maybe I want it to go to my students and their primary contacts. So I'm going to choose a couple of students here. I'm going to go ahead and use my template that I wanted to use for my makeup work. Then I'm going to make sure I have everything correct before I send it. Maybe I want that push notification this time, and I'm going to go ahead and send that out to my students. And once I do that, I see that it's gone to students and parent contacts as well. And if I click on them, I'm able to see that. All right. So that's going to go ahead and do that for templates, which I think is really neat because it makes it more personalized, but it saves the teacher time as well. You can insert that student field right in there. Now let's talk a little bit about positive behaviors, especially because we're talking about saving some time. Now, I'm not going into anything about the ins and outs of positive behavior. I only want to talk about it from this communication standpoint. So if you click on positive behavior, this is open and available for teachers to use right now. If you're in here and you click and you decide, I'm going to send this, I'm going to save it. And when I save, comment before saving is turned on. So what this is telling me that I can put a comment here. And if I do that, that comment is not only going to display for the student, it's also going to display for the parent. So let's say I'm really proud of Luna, and I'm going to go ahead and confirm this and send it. So what I want to do right now is switch to that parent profile I have. So if you'll give me 1 second to switch. So if I'm here and I go into communication, I'm going to be able to see not only do I have right here that that Luna got a reminder about her makeup work, but I also see that Luna got a positive behavior badge in the comment from her teacher, which is great for opening those lines of communication. So when you send it, it goes straight there for those positive behavior badges. And then on my portal, I did have an alert that said I had 2 new messages, so I could have clicked that alert as well as a parent. I'm going to go back to my teacher profile here. And then I'm going to go right back to my communication module. Because I want to talk a little bit about those settings as well. So what we have on our options for settings, we could change our things to default to table view if you prefer that. Some people prefer that list view. Some people prefer table view. I think all of that is just your personal preference. If you as a teacher get the mobile app, if you opt in for push notifications, that means that you're going to receive a notification on your phone whenever you receive a new message. Right now, this option is available. We're hoping that option is not going to continue to be available because we don't want you to opt out of email notifications. It's a great way to make sure that you're knowing whenever parents or students are contacting you. So we're asking you not to choose this one at this time. You can create a signature if you would like to. So if you want it to pre-populate, this is just like email. And the same thing with out of office. That is completely up to the discretion for you and your school and what you guys do there as well. So that's pretty much the communication module. What I do want to talk about now is the communication report. Now, this is a great way for you to audit as the teacher all of the information, all of the messages that you've sent. So if we come over here on the side, we're going to come down to reports, and we're going to click on this communication report right here. Some of the things to notice about the communication report is that you can change the type. We recommend keeping it on all. Schools, it's going to say all, but it's only defaulting to the school that you actually have permissions to view. The start date, depending on how far back you want to go, just remember that the further the time frame, the more information it's going to pull, so the longer it will take for that report to run. You could pinpoint it down to an actual start time if you're trying to find something specific. Your end date is usually going to default to whatever day you actually are on right then. Same thing with your end time. If you want to look just for those secure messages, you could click this. If you need the things that were flagged, If you're just trying to do a search for that, you can click flagged messages. You can go ahead and click that search button, and what you're going to see is all kinds of notifications that were sent. So to talk a little bit about this report as you go through, so a couple of things about Focus. If you see this and click on that, it's going to open it to this view, which is a little bit different. Some people prefer viewing it this way. Anything that's blue is a link for you, and you can move through. Or you can look at it from this view as well. Anything that you want to filter, you have your filters here if you have those turned on. But you can also filter based on, maybe you want to know who it's from. So you want all of those people together. Maybe you want to know the date, depending on the order that you might like it in. So all of those, all you have to do is click, and it's going to organize it based on those clicks that you have. And as you're going through, you're going to see that it tells you the date and the time and the type of communication that was sent, whether it's an email or a push notification. It's going to show you the message itself if there's content there. So if you click on that, you're going to be able to see it. Obviously, that was just a test message that we did. So you're able to see that from here. It's going to show you if the source, if it's a user, a parent, a student. You have who it's from, and then the recipients, and then who it's to. And as we continue to scroll over to the side, you're going to start to see how many was sent and how many are pending, and then if anything has errors. So this is very important because we've had a lot of teachers say, I sent things through the communication module. I'm not really sure if my parents got it, or I sent it, but my parents are saying they didn't get it. Well, this report is how you go through and look for those errors. Now, right now, in order to find errors, you have to click on recipients. We do have an enhancement request in with the vendor that they have approved so that you can actually just click where it says errors to see what they are rather than coming here. But as of right now, the way that that works is if you look and see that there were 29 sent, or there were 29 sent, 5 of them went, and then there were 24 errors, you're going to come over here to these recipients and figure out, so what was the problem? So as we look through, most of the time, the problem is that there's not an email address for that parent on file. And that's where we've been talking about working hand in hand on those data verification sheets and reaching out to parents and letting them know that they don't have an email address on file, or maybe the one they have is not the correct one at this time, and going through and getting that corrected. So that's the best way to check and see if it's not here, and that's not an error. It went through, that was the destination. It's telling you what that destination is and that it went. There's so much information on this page as well. It's going to tell you if something was secure. If something was flagged and they're a student, that referral button is going to appear here as well. That button is not going to appear if it is a staff member or if it is from a parent, but if it is a student and it has that flag or the ability for it to be flagged and added a referral, that's going to appear here as well. So you can also add a referral from the screen as you're auditing your communication. So those communication reports are really important. And then just a reminder again that you can see those communication tabs as well if you're looking at a particular student like I showed you on Katie Bell.
Is there like a red receipt kind of feature? Sometimes people will receive and open emails or messages and then say that they didn't see the message.
Yes.
Or like that?
Yes, you should be able to see that in those threads. It will tell you read at this particular time, because I've actually seen that myself. And it will tell you when it's been read. Anybody else on the team have any questions about anything or want me to talk a little bit more about something?
I'd like to see that positive badge feature again, Anna.
Sure.
Sure. Back to that.
It's brand new. They've not had this before. So talking about this from the communication standpoint, now positive behaviors, they've had those. Let me restate what I just said. Positive behaviors have been in focus for a while now. This feature in communication is new. So we have a whole webinar that's up and coming about positive behaviors, because it's a huge module and it's really wonderful. A lot of hard work has been put into positive behaviors. This, from the communication standpoint, is new for the 24-25 school year. So as a teacher is here, if they want to automatically send communication straight to that communication module, if they are here and they click on this positive behavior and they're in here, they can award those positive behavior badges. And when they do, it does give them the option to comment. So if I were to give this and I decide to save it, when this box pops up, anything that I type in here is going to be viewed on the parent and the student portal as well. So anything else, team, that you guys think we should discuss or go over?
Again, the point of view from this module, from the training, was all from that teacher perspective.
It's all from the teacher
for us
perspective.
To be able to show. And so then, from our, we're doing everything in our zone assigned. This is our test, site where we have all these, everything's mocked up, but students, when they log into Focus, they see, if they have one teacher, if they have, 7 teachers, throughout the day, when they see their name, when that student logs in, and if Anna can show that, they just click right there on that teacher name, and that's how they send those messages, right there to their teacher out there. So I think it's good for a teacher to be able to see that perspective. So right here is when, a student is logged in, so Katie's logged in, she's able to go see. And if she had a message, if she hits that top, well, that's to message all of her teachers. Or if she just wants to, hey, she missed that class and she wants to have a question about her civics class, that's where she can ask that teacher right there. And the teacher gets that right there in their alert. And we have a lot of teachers, the increase of those students logging in and sending their messages to their teachers. It's a great way.
Yes, and students are reaching out. Communication reports are not just at the teacher level. Administrators have the ability to audit communication reports on their campus as well, and they are loving the amount of back and forth between teachers and students about their work and what they need to do. So we see huge numbers of communication that's flowing back and forth in Focus, which is a great thing. And that's how quick and easy students are able to contact their teachers, or if they have something they want all of their teachers to know, they can quickly do that just by clicking that button, populates all the teachers. They let them know, hey, I'm going to be out. I've got a dentist appointment, or whatever it may be that a student is taking the initiative to let their teacher know or to ask about, which is wonderful, because we want students to advocate and to ask questions and to be very invested in their own educational experience. And I think that the communication module really helps them do that.
It looks user friendly too. If a student is out sick for an extended period of time, what a great way for the student to easily be able to communicate with their teachers. That's awesome.
Yes, I definitely agree with that. Same thing with parents. Like I said, I have my own parent profile that I use as well. And it's easy for parents. They can also do that same thing. They can message all of their child's current teachers. They have their own communication piece right here. And we know that parents are also using that, where they reach out and they can get information from the district as well, not just from teachers. So when we send announcements, and so even from the administrative level, if an announcement is made that they want just to go to that parent profile, they can do that here, where we're kind of talking with parents about Focus being that multitasking tool. Well, that was done through the communication module, and that's why that's showing up here as well. So it's really great. So anything else that we should cover or need to cover?
No, I think you covered a lot, out here, just like when you talked about those, the positive behaviors. This is, again, you're logged in as that parent. That's where we see that attendance bonus right there for Luna, out there. So that's how that parent is able to see it right away, and the student sees it as well.
Yes, so they're seeing that here. There's lots of really cool features with positive behavior. So But yeah, if that's it, I'm going to go ahead and stop that recording.